Welcome back to AutoView Pro. Today we're diving into something that feels almost unreal, a piece of history that's been reimagined for the future, the 2026 Chevrolet Bel Air. For decades, the Bel Air has stood as one of the most iconic nameplates in American automotive culture. It was never just a car, it was a symbol of post-war optimism, chrome-drenched styling, and the rise of cruising culture. People remember the fins, the two-tone paint, the wide white walls, and the aura of the 1950s that seemed permanently baked into its sheet metal. So when Chevrolet announced that the Bel Air would be coming back, but not as a retro gimmick or a museum piece, but as a thoroughly modern car that nods to the past while driving into the future, it got the entire industry buzzing. And now that we finally get to see what Chevrolet has created for 2026, there's a lot to unpack. The first thing you notice about the 2026 Bel Air is how it manages to look unmistakably modern while still carrying cues from its legendary ancestors. Chevrolet designers have taken what we might call heritage DNA and integrated it into a sleek, contemporary form. The proportions are long and low, the stance is wide, and the detailing is sharp. At the front, there's a bold chrome-inspired grille, but it isn't just for show. Behind it hides active shutters that manage airflow depending on whether the car needs cooling or aerodynamic efficiency. The headlights, slim LED units, draw inspiration from the dual lamps of the late 50s models, but here they stretch into the fenders with a futuristic glow signature. Move along the side and you'll notice a sculpted body line that references the classic, sweep spear, trim that ran down the length of the original Bel Airs. On the 2026 model, that sweep has been reinterpreted as a character line that reflects light differently depending on your angle, a subtle callback that old-school fans will immediately recognize. Out back, the design team didn't shy away from the fins. Now, these aren't giant, sky-high fins like the 57, but rather a graceful upward flick of the rear fenders, giving the Bel Air a tail that feels both nostalgic and aerodynamic. The taillights are slim LED boomerangs, with a layered effect that glows in a pattern whenever you approach or unlock the car. And for those who crave nostalgia, Chevrolet is even offering certain trim packages with more pronounced chrome highlights and a two-tone roof, just like the old days. But don't mistake this car for a retro throwback, it's very much a 2026 machine with cutting-edge aerodynamics, modern surfacing, and futuristic materials. Step inside and the connection to the past is even more subtle but equally powerful. The cabin greets you with a sweeping dashboard that feels like a modern reinterpretation of the wide, horizontal dash of the 50s models. Instead of a clutter of chrome dials, you get a massive curved display that stretches across the driver's side and blends seamlessly into a central infotainment system. But here's the clever part. Chevrolet has built-in digital themes that can mimic the look of old analog gauges, complete with virtual needles and a turquoise and white color scheme, if you want that retro vibe. At the same time, you can switch to futuristic layouts with augmented reality navigation, driver assistance information, and real-time performance metrics. The seating is upholstered in sustainable premium materials, but the patterns and stitching nod to the tuck-and-roll vinyl of the classic Bel Airs. Even the steering wheel, though clearly modern with haptic controls and driver assist buttons, has a thin rim option that references the feel of vintage steering wheels. Lighting plays a huge role here too. Ambient LEDs are hidden throughout the cabin, and with customizable colors, you can set the mood to evoke either a neon-lit 1950s diner vibe or a cool futuristic lounge atmosphere. Now let's talk about the part that makes the 2026 Bel Air stand apart from any previous model, the powertrain. Chevrolet is offering it in two distinct flavors. The first is a hybrid setup that combines a turbocharged inline-4 with an electric motor, producing a combined output of around 350 horsepower. This option is aimed at those who want efficiency blended with performance. It delivers strong torque off the line, great highway passing power, and a range that balances gas and electric energy seamlessly. But the real headline is the all-electric Bel Air. Yes, Chevrolet has created a full EV version built on GM's Ultium platform. With dual motors, it delivers up to 480 horsepower and over 600 pound-feet of torque. That means instant acceleration, with 0 to 60 happening in just under 4 seconds, a number that would shock anyone who remembers the original Bel Airs of the 50s, which were considered quick if they could do it in under 10. The electric Bel Air also boasts a range of around 330 miles on a full charge, with DC fast charging capability that can add about 200 miles of range in just 20 minutes. Driving dynamics are another area where this car impresses. The Ultium chassis allows for a low center of gravity thanks to the floor-mounted battery pack. Combine that with adaptive suspension, rear-wheel steering on higher trims, and a near-perfect weight distribution, and the Bel Air is no longer just a cruiser, it's a performer. It glides smoothly when you want comfort but tightens up when you dive into corners, giving it a dual personality. For those who want the ultimate in old-school driving feel, the hybrid version offers a rear-wheel drive setup with an optional manual mode paddle system that simulates gear changes for driver involvement. Chevrolet has also packed this car with the latest tech. You get GM's Super Cruise hands-free driving system on supported highways, complete with automatic lane changes and adaptive cruise. The infotainment system supports wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, along with over-the-air updates so the Bel Air can evolve over time. Sound systems are supplied by Bose, with an available 18-speaker immersive setup that uses headrest speakers and sub-bass under the seats. And for a nod to nostalgia, there's even a curated library of 1950s and 60s playlists built into the infotainment system, perfect for when you want to relive the golden age of cruising. Practicality hasn't been forgotten either. The electric version offers a front trunk, or frunk, with enough space for a carry-on suitcase, while the rear trunk is generous for a midsize sedan. The hybrid has a slightly larger trunk since it doesn't need the extra front storage. Inside, there's room for 5 adults with ample legroom, thanks to the long wheelbase. Families will appreciate the available panoramic glass roof that stretches from front to back, flooding the cabin with light and making road trips feel more open. Now, it wouldn't be the Bel Air without customization. Chevrolet understands that part of the magic of the original was that owners could make it their own. So the 2026 version comes with an extensive personalization program. Buyers can choose from dozens of two-tone paint combinations, including heritage color names like Matador Red, Onyx Black, and Shoreline Beige, alongside modern metallics and pearlescents. Wheel options range from classic chrome-inspired alloys to futuristic aero designs. Inside, you can mix and match trim colors, materials, and ambient lighting to craft a Bel Air that feels unique. Chevrolet is even offering dealer-installed accessories, like retro-inspired badges, classic-style hubcaps, and custom-embroidered seatbacks for those who want a stronger connection to the past. Pricing is expected to start around $45,000 for the hybrid base trim, climbing into the mid-60s for fully loaded EV versions. That puts the Bel Air in competition with cars like the Tesla Model 3 Performance, the Hyundai Ioniq 6, and even some premium sedans from BMW and Mercedes. But what makes the Bel Air stand out is its blend of nostalgia and innovation. It isn't just another futuristic EV, it's a piece of heritage reborn, a car that tells a story while still giving you cutting-edge performance and technology. Driving impressions from early testers suggest that the Bel Air feels different from other electric cars. While most EVs lean heavily on silent efficiency, the Bel Air adds a sense of theater. In the EV version, Chevrolet has engineered an optional synthetic sound system that mimics the throaty growl of a small block V8, tuned to respond to throttle input in a way that feels natural, not artificial. It can be turned off for pure EV silence, but many drivers find it adds an emotional connection that's missing from most electric vehicles. The hybrid, on the other hand, delivers authentic engine noise, with the Turbo 4 producing a sporty rasp and the electric motor filling in torque for a seamless surge of power. Safety is also a big part of the 2026 Bel Air story. Standard features include automatic emergency braking, pedestrian detection, blind spot monitoring, and rear cross-traffic alert. Higher trims add 360-degree cameras, automated parking assist, and advanced collision avoidance systems. GM's engineers have also focused heavily on structural integrity, using high-strength steel and aluminum to create a body that's both rigid and light. Crash test ratings are expected to be top of the class once official results come in. Culturally, the return of the Bel Air represents something more than just a new car. It's about Chevrolet tapping into its deep heritage and reminding people of a time when cars weren't just transportation, they were lifestyle statements. The original Bel Air was a car that people polished on weekends, showed off at drive-ins, and passed down through generations. By reviving the nameplate in 2026, Chevy isn't just selling a sedan or an EV, they're selling a connection to that golden era, packaged in a way that makes sense for the modern world. Of course, not everyone is convinced. Some purists argue that the Bel Air should have been left alone, preserved in history rather than reinvented. Others question whether younger buyers who never experienced the classic will care about the name. But Chevrolet seems confident that the blend of heritage styling and cutting-edge tech will attract both nostalgic boomers and tech-savvy millennials who want something that stands out from the crowd of cookie-cutter EVs. When you put it all together, the 2026 Chevrolet Bel Air feels like more than just a car launch, it feels like an event. It shows us how automakers can honor their history without being trapped by it, how they can create vehicles that are both emotionally engaging and technologically advanced. Whether you choose the hybrid for its balance of tradition and efficiency, or the full EV for its blistering performance and futuristic edge, the Bel Air gives you something that few other cars in 2026 can: a true story behind the sheet metal. Imagine pulling up to a car meet in this. The older enthusiasts recognize the name and spot the subtle design cues that nod to the 57, while younger folks see a sleek, modern machine with presence. You pop the hood on the hybrid and show off the turbo hybrid setup, or you open the frunk on the EV and surprise people with how versatile it is. Then you drive away in near silence, or with a simulated V8 growl if you're in the mood, merging past traffic with instant torque. That duality, the ability to be both nostalgic and futuristic, is what makes this car so fascinating. Chevrolet is also planning a series of limited editions that lean harder into the retro vibe. Rumor has it there will be a 57 Heritage Edition with more prominent chrome trim, a special turquoise and white paint scheme, and even interior embroidery that replicates the classic logo. These limited models are likely to become collector's items, much like the originals. It's a smart move by Chevrolet to cater to collectors while still keeping the standard models sleek and modern. In the end, the 2026 Bel Air isn't trying to replace the legend, it's trying to carry it forward. The originals will always have their place in history, in museums, in car shows, in private collections. But the new Bel Air lets that spirit live on in a form that you can drive every day, with the safety, performance, and technology that modern life demands. It's about continuity, about bridging generations of car culture, about giving people a car that feels like a celebration of the past and the future at once. So, is the 2026 Chevrolet Bel Air the perfect car? Maybe not. Some will say it should have been a coupe, others will wish for a convertible, and some will argue that an electric Bel Air misses the point. But what's undeniable is that Chevrolet has taken a bold step. They didn't just slap a classic badge on a generic sedan. They invested real design effort, engineering, and cultural awareness into making this car something special. And for that reason, whether you're a die-hard Chevy fan, a classic car lover, or just someone who appreciates when an automaker tries something bold, the 2026 Bel Air deserves your attention. It's a reminder that cars can still have soul, even in an era dominated by efficiency, autonomy, and electrification. It's proof that heritage matters, that storytelling matters, and that sometimes, the past really can drive the future. Thanks for joining me here on AutoView Pro. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 2026 Chevrolet Bel Air, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more in-depth reviews and previews, and let me know in the comments what you think. Is the new Bel Air a worthy revival of the classic, or should Chevy have left the legend untouched? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep your eyes on the road and your heart with the cars that move us.